What is the nature of truth? This is not a question of mere curiosity, it is a question of survival. We live in a world where lies have become not simply common but foundational. Lies are not just told to us, they are inherited, embedded in the way we speak, think, and live. Every institution we trust, every concept we hold dear, every word we use to describe the world, each carries with it a residue of untruth. And yet, we rarely stop to ask, what is the cost of this? What happens to us, as individuals and as a society, when we allow lies to define us? Worse, what happens when we become blind to the fact that they even exist? I am not talking here about the small lies, the polite deceptions, the social fabrications, or the convenient half-truths we tell to oil the machinery of daily life. Those are symptoms. The real disease lies deeper. It is the lie about who we are, about what we are, and about the nature of reality itself. Lies about meaning, existence, and purpose. These are the lies that matter. They are the ones that have imprisoned us in a world of illusions, a world where we think we are free, but we are not. And so we must ask, what is truth? Not just as an abstract idea, but as something that can confront and destroy the lies that control us. Can truth even be known? Or is it, as some suggest, always relative, always shifting, always shaped by the perspectives of those who seek it? Heidegger posed this question in his own way. He asked not only what truth is, but why it is hidden. Why is our relationship to truth one of struggle and concealment? Why does it seem that the harder we look for truth, the more elusive it becomes? Let us begin here with the idea of concealment. Heidegger argued that truth is not something that simply is. It is not an object we can hold or a fact we can capture. Truth, instead, is an event, a revealing. But for something to be revealed, it must first be concealed. This is the paradox at the heart of existence. Truth is always veiled, and we must tear through that veil to see it. But here's the catch most of us don't want to see. We are complicit in the concealment. We cling to the veil because it is comforting. Lies are comfortable. Truth is not.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Why is this? Why do we fear truth? I think it is because truth demands something from us. It demands that we change. It demands that we abandon the false securities we have built for ourselves, the stories we tell to justify our actions, the identities we cling to, the systems of meaning we have constructed to make sense of the world. Truth is a destruction. It is a fire that burns away everything that is false, and that includes most of what we think we are. Are you willing to face that? Are you willing to let go of the lies that define you, even if it means losing yourself in the process? This is not an academic question. It is a matter of life and death, because the lies we live by are not harmless. They are killing us. Look around you. Look at the state of the world. The wars, the environmental destruction, the political corruption, the social division, these are not accidents. They are the result of lies. Lies about power, lies about progress, lies about what it means to be human. And these lies are not external to us. They are inside us. They shape the way we think, the way we act, the way we see the world. If we want to change the world, we must first confront the lies within ourselves. But how do we do that? How do we distinguish truth from lies when we are immersed in a culture that has blurred the line between them? How do we see through the illusions when our very perception is shaped by them? This is where Heidegger's ultimate question comes into play. For Heidegger, the question is not what is truth, but what is being. This might sound like a strange shift, but it is crucial. Because truth is not something separate from existence, it is existence. To ask about truth is to ask about the nature of reality itself. And to ask about reality is to ask about ourselves, because we are part of it. So let me ask you this: who are you? Not your name, not your job, not your roles or relationships. Who are you at the most fundamental level? What does it mean for you to exist? These are questions most of us avoid because they are deeply unsettling. They force us to confront the fact that we don't really know. We don't know what we are or why we are here. And in the absence of that knowledge, we create lies to fill the void. We create stories about ourselves, about the world, about God, about meaning. And then we cling to those stories as if our lives depend on them. But they are not true. They are fabrications, and deep down we know it. The truth is, we are terrified of the void. We are terrified of the nothingness that lies beneath our stories. But it is only by facing that nothingness that we can discover the truth. Heidegger called this being toward death. He argued that the only way to live authentically is to confront the reality of our own mortality, to acknowledge that we are finite beings, that everything we are and everything we know will one day cease to exist. This is not a nihilistic idea, it is a liberating one. Because when we accept the reality of death, we are freed from the lies that bind us. We no longer need to cling to illusions of permanence or certainty. We can embrace the truth of our existence, however uncertain or fleeting it may be. But what does this mean in practical terms? It means questioning everything. It means being willing to let go of everything you think you know. It means looking at your life and asking what is real, what is true, what is false. It means being ruthless with yourself, because the lies you tell yourself are the most dangerous of all. And it means being courageous, because the truth is not always what you want to hear. So I ask you, are you ready for that? Are you ready to face the truth, no matter what it reveals? Are you ready to let go of the lies that have defined you, even if it means losing everything you think you are? This is the challenge Heidegger presents to us. It is not an easy one, but it is the only one that matters. Because until we confront the truth, we will remain trapped in a world of lies, a world of illusions, a world that is not real. And if we cannot live in truth, then what is the point of living at all? If we are to go further, we must confront a deeply uncomfortable reality. Most of what we believe to be true is not truth at all, it is certainty. There's a difference, and it's a critical one. Certainty is the illusion that we already know truth, on the other hand, is what is left when all illusions are gone. Certainty protects us. It gives us a framework to live within, a sense of stability, a set of rules by which we navigate the chaos of existence. But here's the problem: certainty is often a wall we build to shield ourselves from the truth. And the higher the wall, the harder it becomes to see beyond it. Think about your own certainties. What are the things you believe without question? What are the ideas, values, and assumptions you take for granted? Maybe it's your belief in the goodness of humanity, or your faith in progress, in science, in reason. Or perhaps it's your belief in your own identity, your sense of self, your purpose, your story. Now, ask yourself, how many of these certainties have you truly examined? How many of them would survive if you stripped away everything that is false? Would they still stand, or would they crumble? This is the terrifying thing about truth: it doesn't care about your certainties. It doesn't care about your beliefs, your values, or your stories. Truth is indifferent. It simply is. And when we encounter it, it often feels like a kind of death, not a physical death, but a death of the self, of the ego, of everything we thought we were. Heidegger called this the clearing a space where being is revealed as it truly is, free from the distortions of human thought and language. But to reach this clearing, we must first dismantle the structures we have built to protect ourselves from it. We must let go of our certainties. Here's the paradox: we crave truth, but we fear it. We want to know the ultimate meaning of existence, but we are terrified of what we might find, or worse, that there might be nothing to find at all. And so, rather than confront the truth directly, we settle for substitutes. We create systems of meaning, religions, philosophies, ideologies that give us the illusion of understanding. These systems are not inherently bad. They can guide us, inspire us, even transform us. But they are not the truth. They are maps, not the territory. And the danger comes when we mistake the map for the territory, when we cling to our systems of meaning as if they were absolute. Ask yourself, how often do you mistake the map for the territory? How often do you cling to your beliefs simply because they make you feel secure? The truth is, we are all guilty of this. We all cling to our certainties, even when they no longer serve us. And the reason is simple: letting go is terrifying. To let go of certainty is to step into the unknown, to face the void, to confront the possibility that everything you thought you knew might be wrong. But here's the thing: the unknown is not your enemy. The void is not something to be feared. In fact, it is only by stepping into the void that we can encounter the truth. Remember, truth is not something that can be possessed. It is not an object or a fact that we can grasp and hold on to. It is an event, a revealing, a process of uncovering what is real. And this process cannot happen if we are clinging to the false security of our certainties. So what does it mean, practically, to let go of certainty? It means adopting a posture of radical openness. It means being willing to question everything, even the things you hold most dear. It means acknowledging that you don't know, that you might never know, and that this is okay. This kind of openness is not weakness, it is strength. It is the strength to face reality as it is, without distortion or denial. But let me warn you, this process is not easy. It will shake you to your core. It will force you to confront parts of yourself that you would rather ignore. It will reveal truths that you might not be ready to accept. For example, you might discover that the meaning you have been searching for does not exist out there in the world, it exists only in you. Or you might discover that the self you have spent your life constructing is not as solid or as real as you thought it was. What then? Are you prepared to face that? Are you prepared to let go of the stories you have been telling yourself, even if it means losing your sense of who you are? This is the ultimate challenge of the search for truth. It requires you to give up everything, even yourself. Heidegger understood this. He knew that the search for truth is not about accumulating knowledge or achieving certainty. It is about unlearning, about stripping away the layers of lies and illusions that obscure reality. It is about becoming nothing so that you can see everything. But what does it mean to become nothing? It means letting go of the ego, the sense of self that separates you from the world. It means recognizing that you are not a fixed, unchanging entity, but a process, a flow, a part of the greater whole. This can be a profoundly liberating realization, but it can also be deeply unsettling. Because once you let go of the ego, you lose your reference point. You lose the center that you have built your life around. And without that center, you are left with what? This is the question that terrifies us. What are we without our stories, our identities, our certainties? What are we when we strip away everything that is false? Are we nothing, or are we something more? Heidegger would suggest that we are both. We are nothing in the sense that we are not separate, isolated entities. We are part of the whole. But we are also something more, because it is only in letting go of the false self that we can encounter the truth of being. So let me ask you again, are you ready for this? Are you ready to let go of the lies that define you, even if it means losing yourself in the process? Are you ready to face the truth, no matter how unsettling or uncertain it may be? This is not a question you can answer lightly. It is a question that demands your whole being. Because the search for truth is not a journey you can undertake halfway. It is all or nothing. It is a leap into the void, a surrender to the unknown, a willingness to be transformed. We have arrived now at the edge of the question, the threshold of understanding. Everything we've explored so far has been preparation. We have torn down the walls of certainty, dismantled the fortress of ego, and confronted the lies that have shaped our world and ourselves. But now there is nothing left to hide behind. No more illusions, no more distractions. Only the question remains, what is the one truth that will end all lies? This question is not a riddle to be solved. It is not an answer waiting to be discovered by the intellect alone. It is a confrontation, a reckoning, a demand that we face reality as it truly is. And here is where the problem lies, because the truth, in its rawest form, is something we are not equipped to handle, not because it is beyond our grasp, but because it threatens everything we hold dear. It threatens the very foundation of what it means to be human. Let us start with the simplest, yet most profound realization. The truth is that there is no separation. This is it. The one truth that will end all lies. There is no separation between you and me, between self and other, between mind and body, between subject and object, between the individual and the whole. The lie at the root of all lies is the lie of separation. It is the illusion that we are distinct, isolated beings, cut off from the world and from each other. This is the lie that gives rise to the ego, to fear, to greed, to violence, to suffering. And it is the lie that must be destroyed if we are ever to live in truth. But what does it mean that there is no separation? It means that everything you think of as you is not separate from the world. Your thoughts, your feelings, your body, your actions, none of these exist in isolation. They arise from the same ground of being that gives rise to everything else. You are not a thing, a fixed entity, a self-contained object moving through a world of other objects. You are a process, a flow, a manifestation of the whole. And the whole is not something outside of you, it is you. You are not in the world, you are the world. This realization is both liberating and terrifying. It is liberating because it dissolves the boundaries that imprison us. It frees us from the tyranny of the ego, the constant striving to protect and assert a self that does not truly exist. It allows us to see that we are not alone, that we are part of something infinitely vast and interconnected. But it is also terrifying because it destroys the illusion of control. It forces us to confront the fact that the self, the I we hold on to so tightly, is an illusion. And if the self is an illusion, then what are we? This is the question at the heart of Heidegger's philosophy. He called it the question of being. What does it mean to be? Not just to exist as a thing in the world, but to participate in the unfolding of reality, to be aware, to experience, to act. For Heidegger, being is not a thing but a happening, an event, a process of revealing. And this revealing is not something we do, it is something that happens through us. We are not the source of being, we are its expression. But to see this, to truly see it, requires a radical shift in perspective. It requires us to let go of the idea that we are separate, autonomous individuals. It requires us to see ourselves as part of the whole, as expressions of a single reality that is constantly unfolding. This is why Heidegger spoke of being toward death. Death, in this sense, is not just the end of life, it is the end of the self, the end of the illusion of separation. It is the moment when we are forced to confront the truth of our existence, that we are not separate, that we are not permanent, that we are not in control. But if there is no separation, then where do lies come from? Why do we live as if we are separate, as if we are isolated beings moving through a world of others? The answer lies in fear. Fear is the root of all lies. It is the fear of the void, the fear of nothingness, the fear of losing the self. This fear drives us to cling to the illusion of separation, to build walls between ourselves and the world, to create stories and systems that give us the illusion of control. But these stories are lies, and they can only bring suffering, because the truth is, there is no control, there is no permanence, There is no self to protect or preserve. There is only the flow of being, the unfolding of reality, the dance of existence. So how do we live in this truth? How do we let go of the lie of separation and embrace the reality of interconnectedness? This is not something that can be achieved through thought alone. It is not a matter of understanding or belief. It is a matter of being. To live in truth is to live in alignment with the whole, to act not from the ego, but from the deeper reality of interconnectedness. This does not mean abandoning the self entirely. It means seeing the self for what it truly is, a temporary expression of the whole, a wave in the ocean of being. In practical terms, this means letting go of fear. Fear is what keeps us trapped in the lie of separation. Fear of death, fear of loss, fear of the unknown. But when we see that there is no separation, these fears lose their power. Death is not the end, it is a transformation, a return to the whole. Loss is not a threat, it is a reminder that nothing is ever truly ours to begin with. The unknown is not something to be feared, it is the source of all possibility. It also means living with awareness. Awareness of the interconnectedness of all things, awareness of the ways in which our actions affect the whole, awareness of the lies we tell ourselves and others. This kind of awareness is not easy to cultivate, but it is essential, because without it, we will continue to live in the lie of separation, and we will continue to suffer. Finally, it means acting with compassion. When we see that there is no separation, we realize that the suffering of others is not separate from our own. To harm another is to harm ourselves. To help another is to help ourselves. This is not a moral obligation, it is simply the truth of our existence. Compassion is not something we must force ourselves to feel. It arises naturally when we see the reality of interconnectedness. So here we are. The one truth that will end all lies is the truth of no separation. It is the truth that you are not alone, that you are not separate, that you are not a fixed, isolated self. It is the truth that you are part of the whole, and the whole is part of you. This truth is not easy to accept. It requires us to let go of everything we think we know, to surrender our certainties, to face the void. But in doing so, we are freed from the lies that bind us. We are freed to live in truth, to act with awareness and compassion, to participate fully in the unfolding of reality. So I leave you with this question: are you ready to let go of the lie of separation? Are you ready to face the truth of no separation, no self, no control? This is not a question that can be answered with words. It is a question that must be answered with your life. What will your answer be?